Hello squad, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. I'm your host Tim Cant, and this time we're looking at samplers, which is a topic very close to my heart because, believe it or not, I fought in the sampler wars of the 90s. You don't know what it was like, man. An unexpanded S2000 just had 2 megabytes of memory, no effects, low pass filter only. We were up against people with EMU 6400s. We didn't stand a chance. Thankfully, things are a lot better since Contact came out. And that reminds me, Contact isn't in the top 5 because everybody knows what it is, everyone's got a copy of it, and we're going to look at some new exciting toys to play with. So without further ado, let's give it a go. Palindrome goes both ways at 5. We sample some Serato goodness at 4. ReGroover is breaking beats at number 3. Tal Sampler gets creative at number 2. And Phalanx leads our formation at the top spot. At 5, Palindrome by Glitch Machines. Morph between 4 samples with this vector synthesis / granular synthesis hybrid. You draw 16 points across the grid to move between the 4 samples, but there are also path presets for instant action. Each sample also gets 2 effect layers to bring in some extra life, and there are 8 modulation envelopes that you can custom draw to add yet another dimension to this sampler. This one's got 4-voice polyphony, randomization, 70 presets, and comes with a chunky 1.5 gigabyte of samples. So, Palindrome is no longer just a clever word thingy, it's a virtual instrument as well that combines vector and granular synthesis. Now, what are those, you might ask? Don't worry about it, let's just take a look at how it works. So basically, we load an audio file, you get a folder of synthetic and organic ones. Let's go for some synthetic stuff. Let's have a mind quake. So we're gonna determine how much this sample plays with the start and size controls here. Ooh, let's move the start point around. You can see what's happening here. Let's go for a bit of a bigger window. Maybe let's have something a bit smaller. Okay, so we've got something a bit of an interesting pad there. Let's load up another sound, see what else we can have. Let's have something organic this time. I don't know. How about some bird atmos? That sounds nice. So we haven't done anything to our vector control in the middle of the instrument here, so we're just going to hear our first sample when we play a note. But if we add a point by holding a shift and clicking here, we're going to move. Ooh. So this is the sampler 2 zone, so the further our point goes to there, the more we'll hear of Bird Atmos 6. Now let's have a play with Bird Atmos, because it's sounding kind of crazy. What's going on? Oh, here we go. That's more like it. Okay, so there we go. We've got a couple of sounds morphing between each other. Oh, that's kind of dark. I like it. Okay, so what else could you... So you can have these 4 sounds, right, or whatever. We've basically seen what they do. I mean, you can control the pitch and stuff with envelopes and everything. I'll leave that to your imagination. There are also some effects. So, for example, why don't we have a bit of a delay on... We're on sampler 2 at the moment. Let's set a time to feedback. Now, I quite liked it when we moved that time while the sound was playing. Let's have another listen to that. That's pretty cool. Why don't we use an envelope to modulate it? So it's as simple as dragging the thingy down, then you click this, and then you see your envelope. And it's just like moving the vector around to create an envelope, shift and click. There you go. And that's with just one effect and just 2 sounds. So yeah, you can only imagine the craziness that can come from this rather interesting little virtual instrument. At 4, Sample by Serato. Coming from one of the biggest names in creative DJing, Sample lets you slice and process your tunes and loops with ease. Sample's greatest asset is its ability to analyze any waveform and intelligently figure out where to slice it for the most musical beat-based loops. One of the best ways to find a setup you like is to lock certain slices that work, then randomize the rest of them, helping you come up with interesting, usable stuff to play via MIDI. Serato Sample is a really cool, quick little instrument to use if you want going to grab another tune, just chop it up and start playing it back via MIDI for some, I don't know, choppage inspiration. So I've loaded up something rather underrated here. First thing you want to do when setting up a place to chop from is to tap the first note on the MIDI keyboard. That'll automatically select a cue point at the start of the tune. Now if we press that note again, it'll play back from that cue point. Okay, all very well and good, but there's not a lot going on at the start of the tune. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to where the drop might be, maybe zoom out a bit. This is the sort of area. I'm going to delete that key point we've created. I'm going to create another one. And now we'll play from here. Oh, close, but not quite. You see Serato's lovely colourful waveform giving us a bit of a clue where that downbeat's going to be. There we go. So now we're playing from the drop every time. What I'm going to do is select the set slicer mode. Now this will chop out regular intervals. If we set the resolution to 2, it's going to chop us up every bar. You'll see all of these have lit up now, each triggering a different bar from the tune. Let's have a listen. You get the idea and you can play around with it. So there you go, very easy for remixing. If you want to do it a little differently, you can set it to every, that'll be like 2 bars. So and then you can get a bit more chordal variation in there. So very easy to muck about and remix stuff. And there's other slicing modes as well. It'll do like random slicing, find samples. Come on, do your find samples thing. You can do some random sample searching. Let's have a go at that. So you get the idea. Plenty to keep you occupied. You can even pitch shift stuff around as well. Time stretching. Make some crazy noises with that instrument. At 3, ReGroover by Acusonus. ReGroover is another intelligent sampler, but in a radically different way. Once you've loaded up a drum loop, the plugin uses its powers to attempt to pull apart the different drums and cymbals within, placing each on its own track. You can then reduce or increase each in level, or take things a bit further, placing individual isolated slices onto 16 sampler-style pads to play from MIDI, replaying the original groove, or overriding it when you want to. ReGroover also lets you add your own samples to the pads to jam around with the original loop. Save the planet and recycle your loops with this clever little plugin, available in Pro and Essential versions. Well, ReGroover is an innovative new instrument, to put it mildly. Let's take a look at what it does. First of all, we're going to have a peek at this little hip-hop loop. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, you get the idea. We're going to drag that into ReGroover. It's analysing it. As you can see, we're going to solo the ReGroover channel now and just play that back. We've muted this original drum loop, so let's hear what we got. Okay, just realised I might need to sort the tempo out there. We'll divide that, so it's 88. Now let's have another listen. Okay, before we do anything crazy, doesn't sound too bad, does it? Let's do a little bit of soloing, A-Bing it with the original version. Sounds pretty similar, right? Well, check this out. So, we've soloed it again. Let's solo some of the individual instruments in the loop. We've got some hat action. We've got the snare on its own, the kicks, and another version of the snare, basically. So what if we want to take the snare out? Well, we could just mute those. We've just got our little shuffly hats and kick drum. What if we just want the snares? Let's turn those bad boys on. And if you're not happy with the way it's analyzed, you can change things around. Let's say we want it split into 6 layers. We'll select the activity mode to low, see what difference that makes. Yeah, go for it, buddy. Okay, let's see what we've got this time. Snare. Other bit of the snare. Kind of like a sort of resonate-y frequency on that snare. Another snare layer. The kicks. And then the hats, so you could take out the hats. It's pretty crazy, right? So obviously the potential is there for going absolutely nuts with all kinds of classic drum loops and breaks and messing around with new stuff as well. So yeah, a really interesting development. At 2, Tal Sampler by Tal Software. Inspired by the classic hardware samplers of the 80s and 90s, Tal Sampler is the ideal plugin for those after a creative, synth-style approach to working with samples. The interface may be packed with features, but its straightforward approach means that it's easy to go from your sampled audio to a playable patch in a few moments. With a plethora of DAC, filter, stretch, effect and modulation options, plus a huge pair of included libraries, Tal Sampler is very much worth its super reasonable price tag. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I think Tal Sampler is freaking awesome. This thing is right up my alley. I won't gush about it too long. I will just show you how it works. So it's real simple, just like an old school sampler. I'm gonna grab a pad sounds from a Tom Middleton library, put it on layer A. There are 4 layers you can play with. We're just gonna use the layer A for the moment. There you go, playing back the sample chromatically, as you might expect. Now the first thing you might want to mess with is the resampler, which lets you select a digital to analog converter type and mess about with some settings to get a real sort of crusty old school organic feel. So it's really very easy to get that old school sampler feel without too much mucking about. And then you might want to add some filter processing. What we're going to do is assign the filter to layer A and then it'll do something to it. All very cool, you get the idea. Let's modulate that. So you can say, let me go for LFO1. You can set that as the destination. Then I pick the slot. Click the parameter and it's assigned. We turn up the modulation amount. There we go, very lovely. We'll have this trigger with our note on so that we can get a consistent sound every time. And then we can add some delay, why not? Maybe some reverb. You can go really fast with these LFOs as well, which I like. It goes into the audio rate, guys. Of course, we could modulate that if we wanted to. But let's choose a different type of low-pass filter. Let's go for this bad boy. Oh, yeah. So yeah, there you go, guys. That really is it in a nutshell. There's tons more features, but yeah, if you're looking for a creative synth-style sampling instrument, Tal Sampler really feels like it's the top of the heap. At number 1, VPS Phalanx by Vengeance Sound. Sorry to all the peace-loving hippies out there, but modern sampling is a battlefield of competing plugins. Particularly well equipped for this war zone is Phalanx, Vengeance Sound's drum and synth sampler. Phalanx is armed to the teeth with 6,000 included sounds, graphic envelopes, 12 filter types, scratch simulation, sample tagging, a choice of 17 insert effects, 2 LFOs per sample slot, and loads more. Phalanx is available in basic or premium versions, giving you different capabilities for different prices. There's also tons of expansions available for it. Like most Vengeance producer suite plugins, Phalanx has a lot going on. Can't show you everything. I'm going to show you one thing that should give you a bit of a vibe about how this instrument works. So what I want to do is find a kick drum, which ain't hard, because Phalanx comes with an absolute ton of samples. Let's pick a kick. I'm going to go for that one. We could go on all day. I'm going to select slot A of pad 1. We can play that kick down, up and down the keyboard, and you'll see there's a waveform display which tells us what's going on with the kick. So for example, if you change the amplitude envelope, look, the results are represented in real time, which is kind of satisfying and kind of useful. So what I'm going to do now is just make a quick distorted kick drum. Very easy in Phalanx. We can select the filter mode. We can turn up the drive. Yeah, there we go. Go right into hardstyle territory. I'm going to keep it around here. Maybe I'll try a bit of a clean model. Oh, that's pretty cool. So what you can do is mess around with things and say, hey, maybe I want a little bit of dynamic movement in the amplitude envelope. Let's see what it do. This can really shape things quite a lot. For example, maybe let's change the pitch as well. We'll turn the range up. So yeah, just in terms of mucking about with kick drums, Phalanx is great, and there's so much more to discover there as well. Okay crew, we have survived. Well done everybody. Why don't you come back soon for some more DSP related antics, and in the meantime, why not click that subscribe button and tap my little bell to keep my corporate paymasters happy. Peace.